Today we are looking at the new SimMagic Evo bases, and they've made these bases lighter so that they are more responsive. And yeah, it's ridiculous how light these are. Before we get started, I want to say a huge thank you to SimMagic for sending these bases my way. And I'm saying bases because they didn't send me one base. They actually sent me two. They sent me the Evo Sport, which is a 9 Newton meter wheelbase. And they also sent me this Evo Pro, which is 18 Newton meters. I do apologize if this review is a little bit late, see. Yeah, life has just been busy, you know, not in a bad way, just I'm a bit overwhelmed the last couple of weeks, let's just say that. But I'm catching up, you know, that's what you got to do. You just got to keep going and you got to keep catching, you know, we're getting there. Anyway, how much will these bases set you back? The Sport version will set you back $399. Your Evo, just a normal Evo, there's no name to that, it's just Evo, is 12 Newton meters. That is $549. And then the Pro version, which is absolutely sublime, is $699. Now, I have made a comparison video comparing this Evo Pro to the big boys, the SimCube 2 Pro and you know, Asetek Invicta, and honestly I was seriously surprised how well this Evo Pro stacked up with its competitors. I actually think that in today's market, as of today, that SimMagic probably offers the best value for money when it comes to force feedback quality, but we'll have a look and have a chat about that later. Yeah, just some things to consider when you are buying one of these bases. The prices I gave you there does not include shipping, taxes, or, you know, tariffs. That's a new word, tariffs. And yeah, if you are living in the United States, the land of America, then yeah, Donald Trump has been up the bum with the tariffs. However, it sounds like there has been a breakthrough and tariffs has been relaxed, you know. That could change Monday morning, you know, how quickly these politicians change their minds. So yeah, buy quick. No, listen, SimMagic do use a lot of resellers worldwide, and in most cases it is actually cheaper to buy from your local reseller buying SimMagic gear than what is actually buying from SimMagic store online themselves. Of course, you can buy there as well. I would just do a quick comparison when it comes to shipping prices and taxes you will be paying. Anyway, let's get going. Let's talk about build quality and how you mount these bases to your rig. Now, I'm mashing them two categories together because, yeah, they kind of go hand in hand in what I want to discuss. So, build quality wise, I'm very happy. You know, they've got this nice aluminium here. I actually think the bases look more modern and nice. I like the rounded edges. I think the whole base presents very well. One of the things that SimMagic has gone backwards is the fact that now this front cover and the back cover is plastic. On the old Alphas, this whole thing, doesn't matter where I touch it, this thing is absolutely rock solid. Now, the front cover is plastic, and you know what? I really do not mind the back cover being plastic. It doesn't bother me at all. The front cover, however, I would have liked that chunky piece of aluminium they had in there before. This would have given you the option to front mount it, as you were with this Alpha. You can see there these nice holes here. You could front mount this base. Now, SimMagic does give you the option to purchase these extra. Now that's just it. You just bought this base and now you have to go spend more money already if you want to go and front mount this. And yeah, personally I have mixed feelings about this front mount over here. The main thing is I could not use it with my front mount. As soon as I actually mounted it on here, you can see it adds quite a bit of width to this base, and because of that I actually could not mount I could not use the front brackets to mount. I had to turn my base like this and then I could front mount it. Now this will even though this makes a base, you can use the base exactly the same way doing it this way. However, in future this might make another problem. Then I won't be able to use this little magnetic strip that they've put in there for if you want to use their magnetic DDU. So you'll be able to take your little screen, put it on your wheel, put it on your bass. Very, very nice idea. I absolutely love it. But yeah, if I have to twist my bass, yeah, I'm sure third-party companies will start jumping on board and make front mounts that will be more suited to the SimMagic Evos, but until then, we're just going to have to wait. These, however, even though it's not the most chunky of, aluminium, they are very, very sturdy, and I'm happy with it. Even when I'm, yanking on the wheel and stuff, I did not have any excessive play whatsoever, so when it comes to this being a solid option, it is very solid. Just make sure that you've got enough width, enough space to actually front mount the bass. If front mounting is not a concern to you, well, honestly, then I don't think the plastic cover in the front should bother you a bit anyway. This got a nice little texture to it, and they've added these lips on the side. I'm assuming that's to, force a light direction forward. However, I don't know why these little lips are here, but yeah, it does make the bass, in my opinion, just look a little bit, nicer. It gives it a bit of shape, I guess. Normally, direct drives are, very plain looking, but you can see even here in the shaft, they've got these little indentations. It's not just a round shaft. So yeah, overall, I think presentation wise, these look very well. And one of the things I absolutely love, I think is a phenomenal idea, is in future you'll be able to take your screen that you buy from SimMagic, not this one. This is a very good one by SimDash. I absolutely love it. But yeah, you'll be able to magnetically just click it in and off and away. No wires. You don't need to fuss about wires. And then when you don't want it on your bass, and you can then stick it on your Formula steering wheel or whatever, I think that's a fantastic idea, because screens, buying a wheel with a screen in generally is very expensive. So having that one that can, do both jobs, I think is a very innovative idea by SimMagic, and I think it's going to be a big selling point in the future when it comes to these Evo basses. While we are on the subject of build quality, listen, these motors are made very well, and honestly, normally with direct drives, they can take a huge punishment. Most cases, these direct drives outlast you no problem. However, SimMagic has only given you 1 year warranty. In my opinion, I think they could have extended that to 3 years. It is nice knowing that you are covered, especially when you're making, a big investment like buying a direct drive wheelbase. That was one of the biggest considerations when I actually bought my SimuQ back in the day, was the fact that I knew I buy this bass, I get a 3-year warranty. For the next 3 years, if something happens to this bass, I am covered. It's a nice little feeling to have. It's nice to know that you are covered. I don't see any reasons why these basses will only last you a year. I've used them for only a month, and yeah, I would say I fairly heavily use them. Before the SimMagic basses, the Alphas, some of them tend to get very, very hot. Now there is a fan on the side here. That's also partly reason I think the back cover is plastic. The one side is completely closed off, and then there's air vents going in. There's the air vents there, and that sucks in air and it cools the motor, and the hot air comes out on this side. Now, I did not run this bass in any endurance races, racing 2-3 hours straight, but I would practice before a race, and I would practice for half an hour. The bass will have maybe a 1 minute rest, and then I would be in the race qualifying, another 2 minutes rest, and then I'll have a 40 minutes race. And this bass never got more, I didn't measure the temperature, but you could put your hand on it. It was not any hotter than room temperature, honestly. So for me anyway, heating was not an issue whatsoever. I actually find it funny, they have a sticker on here to tell you that, listen, this bass could be very, very hot. But in the old basses, they did not come with a sticker that says this, and this thing got ridiculously hot. So I guess they just trying to be safe. Let's talk about the most important thing when it comes to a direct drive bass, and that is, of course, the force feedback. The thing that gives you the most pleasure, the most enjoyment out of driving is, of course, what this bass can offer you, when it comes to the driving experience. And yeah, listen, I can say it is very, very good. Basically, what Some Magic has done, they've eliminated cogging. So the old motor over here, you can actually feel all the indentations. Now, this did not bother me in the slightest when I was actually using this bass. However, now this is completely cog free, and because of that, because of a result of that, what they've done is they've got this very light motor. Now, the best way I can explain it to you is by using this bottle of Coke and this small bottle of Coke, because this motor in here, in the older model, is this big bottle of Coke. They've now went with a lighter, more responsive motor, which is this bottle of Coke. So how does it work? Imagine this bass here. This Coke is the direct drive, and it spins. You know, you're turning left, you're turning right, you're turning left, you're turning right. The actual speed of how quickly this your motor can change direction is what actually gives you that fidelity, that, you know, how quick the responsiveness of a bass is. Now, a heavy motor, something that has a lot of weight in it, you can imagine has a lot more momentum when it's turning, and it requires more power to very quickly then change this heavy motor's direction in whichever way it is going. And yeah, when you are driving, you can imagine in just a second how many times a motor could go like this to provide you that force feedback. And that is why typically when you're using like the Acertec Invicta, or, you know, your SimiCube 2 Ultimates, them real expensive basses with a lot of Newton meters, they tend to be a lot more responsive because they've got the power to very quickly change, you know, whichever direction it is going. However, Some Magic, as with Some Magic, pun intended, have found a way to lighten the motor. Now you can imagine something like this. You can turn, because it's lightweight, it can actually change directions much more quicker, and is much more nimble than what that big bottle of Coke over here would be. And talking about this big bottle of Coke, I see it says Soulmate on it. And listen, me and you, we can be soulmates if you hit that subscribe button. In a nutshell, that is our Some Magic. I know it's not the most technical way of explaining it, but that is slew rate. You know, Newton meters, yes, it's all good and well, but Newton meters does not give you that wunderbar racing experience. That is actually to do with the responsiveness of a motor, you know, what they've got in here. And yeah, with the new I don't know, 5-ball servo, and they've changed this, and it's a 21-bit encoder. And listen here, sometimes them encoders is 21-bit, 20-bit, Acertec is 22 bits. Honestly, anything over 16 is, in my opinion, just sales talk, because not even the late great Colin McRae, yeah, would be able to fiddle around with a wheel and say, oh, I can feel the difference between a 16-bit encoder and a 20-bit encoder. Now, from what I understand, the higher the bit rate, it just helps more in the software side of things. Listen here, responsiveness, honestly, they've nailed it out of the park. Yes, obviously, the higher Newton meters you go, I do think you can foolproof yourself. I think the spacing between these basses could have been done better. I mean, you get the Sport that is 9, and then it's 12, and then there's quite a big jump up to 18. I'd think 10, 15, and 20 Newton meters would have been spaced out a little bit more. You know, it would have been, yeah. Personally, I think buy as many Newton meters as you can afford, but if you're actually considering buying the 12, not this one, move this, if you're considering buying the 12, in my opinion, just put it off a month or two. You know, you don't have to have it right now. And yeah, save it a little bit extra, that extra 150 to buy the 18. And I'm pretty sure like 80% of you guys watching, more than 80, 98% of you watching will be more than happy with 18 Newton meters. I mean, it is plenty. Other than that, listen here, one thing that you very quickly realize with these basses that are nimble, that are responsive, is the fact that you can feel things like turning into a corner, how the weight of a car transfer. I cannot tell you how many times I actually lost traction and my car started, you know, to slide out. And I honestly do believe that some of them saves typically would have been outside of my ability to do so. But because of the quick reactions of the bass, I found myself catching some slides, which, yeah, I just weren't expecting to catch. So I mean, that there alone is is a very, very big win. Yeah, overall the road textures, even going over curbs, it feels, honestly, force feedback wise, at this price point, 10 out of 10, baby. 10 out of 10. Let's briefly talk about the connections towards the back of the base. Now, yeah, I'm saying the back of the base because they've moved from the side to the back. Hallelujah! Woohoo! That's a very good change. For the life of me, I don't know why in the old Alpha bases they decided to put, wires on the side. I just think it's so much more neater coming out the back. Anyway, let me have a look here. So this here would be your normal data cable that you just shove into your computer. The one here below is actually quite interesting. This is for your USB-C this is a USB-C connection, but this is for your USB pass-through. So if you want to connect a third-party steering wheel using their new QRA, you have to run a second cable to your computer or to your USB hub, whatever. You plug that one in there. Over here they've got, I think that there is for your emergency stop if you buy that extra from SimMagic. Personally, I won't be running an emergency stop. I think at 18 Newton meters, don't get me wrong, you can very well hurt yourself, but I typically run it at 14 Newton meters. I think I'll be okay. Here's an on-off switch now, and it's just a little clicky button. I would have liked them to have the on-off button, I mean, even just there somewhere, anywhere towards the front, I think just would have been a better implementation. It's not a word I say often, implementation. I think it would have been better if I had this button towards the front, but I'm not going to complain much. It is nice that there is an on-off button on these bases now. Your power source, and you also have these USB slots over here. Now these I am a little bit, or not a little bit, I'm a lot disappointed in them. I would have wanted them to be like a USB hub. I could plug in, let's say for example, my using belt shifter, my handbrake, or whatever the case might be, but these do not work on those on this USB. From what I understand and I read, it's like a CAN bus connection. I'm not very familiar with all them connection types, so I'm not going to delve into it too much. But yeah, if you connect your SimMagic handbrake and shifters and stuff, they will work through these holes here. And I'm sure if you have I don't know what other device uses a CAN bus signal, then these three here should be a-okay for you to use. But for anything that uses I think just like a normal USB signal type thing, I think it might not work on here. I found that a majority of my things that I plugged in here did not work, including my little screen, my DDU. Anyway, yeah, so that is basically the back of this summed up. Let's very briefly talk about the ring light. Now, this is something, honestly, cosmetically, it looks quite nice. When I plug in my X29, you can see color. I try and match the colors here to there. And yeah, that looks very nice. However, yeah, I don't really see. Now with this X29 that's got like this proper gap over here, I can see actually more of the ring than what I do with the GT Neo. With the GT Neo, it actually comes straight over here. And it really, that inch over here, literally blocks me from seeing that ring light when I'm racing with the GT Neo. With the Neo X Hub, there's no chance of seeing any of that. So yeah, keep that in mind. So here's some of the things that the ring light can do for you. ABS active, so it'll flash like that. ABS active, green flag, a slow flash, yellow flag. And you know what, I have to say the yellow is actually the most vivid, nice yellow if you compare that to there. I don't know how it looks on camera, but in real person, this is probably the most vivid yellow I've seen. It's very, very nice. Blue flag, and then of course your white flag, checkered flag. Checkered flag actually looks like pink and blue, funny enough, but you can very easily go in. Yeah, you can see there's like 3 different colors. You can change it. You can say it to blink, the blink duration. I would love SimMagic if you can make us be able to have a breathing effect, so that way I can match up the breathing effect on my wheel to this little ring light. Only a small touch, but it would be appreciated. Do it for me, please, please. Anyway, yeah, pit limiter over here, you know, flashes red to tell you that your pit limiter is on. Very nice. And then this is a static effect, which is what you're seeing here now, and it's basically when you're not racing and you're just outside of the car. And yeah, to show you, it's as easy as clicking on, let's say we want to make it red, we want to make it yellow, and I want to make it green, and I hit confirm. There you go, and you can see it changes color. That is now the static color. The yellow is on this side, you might not see it. The green is a bit there, and then yeah, the red fades, and it's a nice fade effect. So that's basically the ring light in a nutshell. There's of course other things. You can adjust the brightness, you know, and you can have it off. You can switch it completely off. You can have it that your static is not on, like so, and then just when there's a yellow flag, for example, it pops up yellow. To be honest, I'd probably be inclined to do that. I think that would work out very nice. Yeah, what else? You can add extra effects by hitting this add button. And yeah, I mean, black flag, you know, engine started, engine ignition. There's even for left indicators, right indicators. So yeah, yeah, the ring light obviously is something that I've not seen on any other steering wheels. It is a little bit of a gimmick. It's definitely not essential. Do not base your buying decision on this base, you know, because of the ring light. Okay, now let's talk about the QRA. Yeah, we've got the SimMagic QRA. Now, I do have some up and downs with this. I don't get it to work with all my wheels. Yeah, with the X29, I do get it to use, and for the most part, it is a stable connection. But I do get disconnects. In my opinion, even one disconnect is too many disconnects. Yeah, so over here at the bottom is a little port, and you can plug in, you know, your USB-C wheel. Now, one thing to keep in mind with these NRG style quick releases, you will need a wheel hub. So this 50mm spacer over here, you will need it. That's not included with this. So yeah, even though this is a cheaper option than buying an Asetek quick release, if you have to buy, you know, this spacer for every single quick release you are buying, well, then it's not cheaper anymore. But yeah, you plug your wheel in like that. Now I coil my cable like that, so it's nice out of the way. It's not the tidiest of solutions. It would be better if we can maybe get a nice short cable from manufacturers. And then yeah, you just click it in. And as you can see there, well, you see there, that's now on. Am I running SimHub? Yes. Now for some reason you can see here, I am not connected. I don't know why. But to be fair, the whole base, is the base off? Or is it just my static? Yes, that's just a static. Well, that's a handy feature, I don't know. Now I can see my base is on. With this ring light like that, I would not have known my base is on. There's a nice little feature for the ring light. Anyway, let's try this again. So my cable is nicely tucked in. I can hear the computer toodaloo. There we go. Ah, you see, now it is connected, and you can see I've got my nice breathing effect here. And yeah, very, very nice. Should not be any problemos. Now, I do find that once every half an hour, once every hour, it does disconnect, but it disconnects for like 1 second. Like, I mean 1 second, and then it's back on going. So even when I'm in a race, sometimes it disconnects, and then it immediately connects. So unless I am in the middle of a corner where I'm, you know, or on a strip, there, it actually happened. There you could see the disconnect happening right there. You know, I tried to catch it on camera for like, you know, an hour. I always just miss it. You know, when you just stop the button, well, there you just seen it live. So that's a disconnect, and within a second it's up and running again. But that obviously is not ideal. Also, when I'm using my GSI FPE V2 that has a screen, yeah, I had it working for like 10 seconds, but it just does not seem to have enough power. And I don't understand why, because if I look at the stats that SimMagic gives me, the power output, I can't remember. But comparing it to the Acertec Invicta bases or the Acertec bases, it actually provides more power to the wheels than the Acertec bases. And yeah, on the Acertec base, there you go. There's actually another disconnect. So yeah, this does need some work done. I don't know if it's a firmware issue. I don't know what the issue is. But yeah, USB pass-through for me is very, very important. I will not buy another bass without this function. It really is one of them things, when you get used to it, not having wires to plug in and then plug in there, it really makes a big difference. And yeah, this quick release is absolutely rock solid. I just need a rock solid connection, and honestly, I could have this as my forever bass, not a bother at all. But I do think this is obviously, like, SimMagic has told me that this is a prototype. Why they are selling the prototype, I don't know. If, it's not working properly. But I'm sure in the next week or two, coming weeks, they're going to sort these little kinks out very, very quickly. Wow, look at that. That's 3 times now. And my connection, yeah, I mean, this is as in as it can be, This is screwed in, this GSI connection. This is something that does not happen at all when I'm plugging it into my Acertec bass. So this is something that needs some attention. My conclusion, what do I think about the new SimMagic Evo basses? Listen here, it's much quicker for me to tell you what I don't like about them. The fact that you can't front mount them is I would have loved to see, just as in the previous generation, that I'd be able to front mount these basses. Adding the extra width onto the with the front mount that you can buy separately, adds extra complications, especially on current, front mounts. There's a lot of mounts that bracket is just going to be too wide to utilize the front mount with these bases with. Other than that, I just think the spacing of the Newton meters could have been distributed a bit better. What do I mean by that? You get the 9 version, which is a sport. Then you get 3 extra Newton meters, which is just the normal Evo. And then there's a big jump of 6 to the 18 Newton meter Pro version. What I would have liked to see would have been a 10 Newton meter sport version. I would have loved to see a 15 Newton meter smack bam in the middle, normal Evo, and then the Pro version I would have wanted a 20 Newton meter. That would have made the spacing so much better. And not just that, it would have been good for SimMagic if they then later on want to introduce a more entry level bass. They would have the 5 Newton meter gap over here. And then also, if you want to introduce your big boy, 25 plus 25, 26, 27 Newton meters, you also have that space. Then you would have had a generous amount of Newton meters in between each model. 98% of you watching would not need more than 18 Newton meters, whereas I think there's a big proportion of you guys watching at home who would still require more than 12 Newton meters. If you want something like this, a 9 Newton meters at $400 is an absolute bargain, especially at this responsiveness. And listen, honestly, the 9 Newton meter is not any less responsive than the 18, the Pro version. So yeah, I would say if you are going the route of more Newton meters, I would skip the middle version, and I would just, if you have to put it off a month or two. It's been 4 years since SimMagic released their last wheelbase. Trust me, it's not going to be like next year they're going to release a new wheelbase. It's not like the iPhone 16, 17, 18, 20, 24, 22, the Samsung 21, 22, 23. There's not a new model every year. I think this Pro version, which is this one here, I don't know why I'm pointing there constantly. This Pro version is absolutely phenomenal. It's wunderbar. It's wow. I can't recommend it highly enough. I know for a fact you're going to be happy with it, force feedback wise, quality wise, and the future.
One eternity later.
The future upgrade modules like the DDUs that you'll just be able to plug and play without any wires. That's also a feature that, later on will become very, very nice to have. So yeah, honestly, can I recommend these SimMagic basses to you? 100%. I guarantee. I don't want to say I guarantee, because, guarantee is a thing, but I'm pretty much certain that anybody who gets one of these bases are going to be, blown away and is going to be happy with the overall experience. And that is what you want, of course. Anyway, I do have some very exciting videos coming up. I've got my first ever big headset coming up. I've got some and a wheel that I can't talk about yet. I've got pedals. The most beautiful set of pedals that I've ever had on my rig is going to be coming up. All these things are coming up, so please consider subscribing. As always, I hope your next race is a winner. Hallelujah.